The Los Angeles Clippers just blew a 3-1 leads against the Denver Nuggets. This was the most disappointing team since, well, the 2015 Clippers. So the Clippers are definitely yours. But props to the Nuggets for beating the Clippers and from overcoming 2 3-1 leads. That's history. They're really underrated, and Jokic and Jamal Murray scorched the Clippers. Today, we will be looking about how the Clippers got to this situation and what's next. But before we get started on the content, it would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot, and since I'm a very small channel, it just means the world to me, and so I'd really appreciate if you did it. So now let's begin. So looking back, before Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were in the Clippers, before all of that, they give Blake Griffin a max deal and said he was the franchise player. However, they traded into the Pistons. This was the end of loyalty. They traded into the Pistons for Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, Boban, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. That first-round pick became the 12th pick, who became Miles Bridges. However, Jerry West, the best GM of all time, traded up one pick to the 11th pick to pick up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Boban and Tobias Harris was traded to the 76ers for basically Landry Shamet and 2 first-round picks. That was just to clear up salary, as Tobias Harris and Boban were free agents. There, the Clippers made the 8th seed in the 2018-2019 season and pushed the Warriors to 6 games. This allowed them to become respectable, such as very similar to like the Nets, who made the playoffs, and that allowed them to sign KD and Kyrie. Then, on July 6th, was a big day for the Clippers. They signed Kawhi Leonard and traded for MVP candidate Paul George. To get Paul George, they went all in, trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a rising star, Gallinari, and 4 unprotected first-round picks. They added Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to the team with Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, a 2-time Sixth-Man of the Year, and Montrezl Harrell, one of the best six-mans in the league. They were no doubt the deepest team in the NBA. So, they were the title favorites to win the whole season. At the trade deadline, they also acquired Marcus Morris, and that made them even more deep. But, like Marcus Morris said, don't look how we are on paper, because there's so much more than how we are on paper. Like, you might be the best team on paper, but the chemistry might be very low. So that was one problem with the Clippers. So at this end of the season, they won 49 games and lost 23 games in the shortened NBA season. In the first round, they beat the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games. Although Luka Doncic performed heroically, hitting a buzzer beater and scoring 2 40-point games, Kristaps Porzingis was hurt for games 5 and 6, where the Mavericks lost. However, this was when Pandemic P was created, where he struggled at the field, averaging like 11 points a game. However, Kawhi dominated due to the Mavericks' lack of defense. Then, in the second round, they faced the Denver Nuggets, who had just gained the momentum from coming back from a 3-1 lead against the Utah Jazz. The Clippers quickly went up 3-1. Paul George performed well, putting up 32 points in Game 3. And then they lost Game 5. And then Game 6. But I thought, like, no, the Clippers are just gonna step up in Game 7. Right? Oh my goodness. 18-point lead. Paul George with 10 points. Kawhi with 14 points. That's a choke. So, what's next for the Clippers? So the first part that the Clippers have to determine is, will they keep Doc Rivers? It's definitely uncertain because he has blown 3 3-1 leads. With T-Mac, with the Clippers against Houston, and now the Clippers against the Nuggets. So Doc Rivers, I think, is overrated, and many fans, and I've seen like Kendrick Perkins or Glenn Davis, think that he won a championship with the Celtics because he had a really stacked team, but I'm not sure. The thing is that I don't think they should fire him because who's better off in the market? You might think maybe like Mike D'Antoni, but I don't know if he's gonna fit with this team. He might. So, and there's even a chance they might not get him, but I think they should keep him. And for now, and try to find, if there's a better coach on the market, then you can go. And then you have Montrezl Harrell, the 6th man of the year, and Marcus Morris are free agents. Marcus Morris, maybe try to re-sign him. That doesn't really matter much because he is a veteran, but definitely I think they should try to sign Montrezl Harrell again. They have bird rights, so they can go over the salary cap. But the one problem is this. Trent's kind of choked in the playoffs. Jokic destroyed him, and he played awful defense with he's only like 6'8" as a center. That's super small, but it's gonna be see how much money they can get. Maybe they do a sign and trade for like a Miles Turner. I know he's always on the block, but Miles Turner is just that good center everyone wants. But they can't go over the cap. It's gonna be tough if they think they want to re-sign him or they want to move different ways. But the Clippers definitely need to make some moves. First, they need some defensive bigs against Jokic or AD. In the season, they had Zubac, who is a big body and pretty good defense, but Jokic still kind of destroyed him, and he was in foul trouble. So it's gonna be tough, but if they can find like a defensive center who's on the market, and because they do have a mid-level exception, I don't know who's on the market. Drummond won't go on a mid-level exception, of course. Maybe just like a defensive big who can kind of stop AD or Jokic. So that's definitely their first thing. Then you have to determine your final lineup. You of course have Paul George and Kawhi, but do you go two defensive liabilities in Lou Ball and Montrezl Harrell? Do you bring in Patrick Beverley for the defense but not the most offense? I think they should keep Patrick Beverley in there, but do they also put in like Zubac, a big body, but he can't like shoot the ball? Montrez can't, but he might be in foul trouble. So what is their final lineup? They have to determine that. They have to be able to defend the opponent's starting lineup. That's also big. And then also, they have to go in all in for a chip, just like the Milwaukee Bucks or the Stars will leave. As we all know, in the 2020-2021 free agency class, the 2021 free agency class, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George all have player options. If they think that, oh, the Clippers are cursed, I don't think this is a place for us, that's terrible because they have no draft picks. But they need to do, just like the Milwaukee Bucks, I think I said that, they need to go all in. But if they fail, they don't win a championship or make it to the finals, they may be on the list of failed super teams. So, right now, for their salary cap right now, they have two maxes in Paul George and Kawhi, but once again, the 2021 free agency class, they have player options. Also, Lou Will's cheap deal will expire. He's making $7 million right now, so that's a big part of why they are able to sign Kawhi and Paul George, because of that cheap deal, and he will expire, so he might ask for like $15 million. Yeah, he is kind of old, so I would say $15 million is about right, maybe. But then, if PG and Kawhi leave, they start to rebuild. How do they rebuild? They have no picks, and it's either they win, they keep Kawhi and Paul George, or they sign some other free agents, or they become the Brooklyn Nets, who traded all their draft picks to go all in as a suit for a superstar, and then it just fails. So they're either gonna be the worst franchise in the league, or they're just going to like be just really bad. That's a problem. For like 6 days ago, we don't think that the Clippers were in such a good situation, but after they missed the finals, they didn't even make it to the Western Conference Finals. That kind of hurts. The Clippers might be cursed, and that is gonna be a big problem. So what's next for the Clippers? It's gonna be tough. You either win a lot, do whatever it takes to win, go over the salary cap like the Bucks, or you just do whatever it takes or you just lose Kawhi and Paul George in free agency and you become the Nets. So it's kind of a tough point for the Clippers, but I think that Jerry West will figure it out. So yeah, that's going to be the video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video, and we'll see you all next time.